Time to look at Waylay interactions. Like, did you know the Waylay ult can literally tell you which is the real Yoru, or whose dash goes the furthest, Jett or Waylay? Well, time to get into it. First, her C hinders you, which quite literally slows you down. This does not apply though to the objective, so planting or defusing the spike is not slowed down, unlike shooting, reloading, jumping, etc. When you dash, you can dash up and then forward with a double dash, but you can't dash forward then up. So the first dash is the only dash that actually allows you to launch yourself in the air. As you can see here, if I dash forward then try to dash up, it simply does not work. Also, a quick shout out to Conga Valorant. He's the other player here, and we work together to both make our interactions video. He's gonna have one on his channel as well. Now, the next ability lets you basically put a little bit of like almost Phoenix TP spot down below, and when you click it, you go back to that point. You're invulnerable while doing so. The ult is just a stronger version of the C in a very huge wide area effect where the enemy gets hindered. And what hindrance literally means is like if I jump, I'm slow motion. If I pull out my gun, it's in slow motion. If I try to shoot, it's in slow motion. Your accuracy, the distance between each accuracy shot is also increased, making it harder to shoot overall. Now, if there's something in your way, you don't actually go through the terrain. Instead, you're going to see that it's going to make me go all around. So if we close the door here, I don't get to go through the door. I have to go all around to where I originally put it, but you will get there. I also went ahead and tried to test the distance using Ghost. So even if I go across the map, it doesn't matter. You get to your original TP point in 4 to 6 seconds. The further you are, the faster you go. Now, when it comes to dashing, Waylay on Waylay, if I hinder a Waylay, you can see Conga there trying to dash around. It completely destroys your dash. Completely destroys your dash. Also, and the ult is not only a better hindrance, I kind of forgot to mention, it also gives you a speed boost. So if I go ahead and ult, I get a speed boost. If, you know, Brim tries to run, this is with the gun out, so it's a little bit of a scuff test, but basically you gain approximately the same speed as a Brim stim. If Brim is on your team and stims as you're ulting, you literally go super speed. Like, you could tell how fast that was. Now, when it comes to dashing, I tried to dash through a Brim ult. Yeah, don't do that. But moving on from there, one thing you should note is, let's say there is a Brim ult or anything that does damage between you and the TP, it does not matter. You'll go through it. The only reason I took a bit of damage is just because I was clipped. On top of that, let's say there's a smoke or anything that obstructs your view, it deletes itself. Basically, you have an unobstructed view of the map. There's no agent, no ability, nothing loads. You can't dash away from a chamber trip, but you can if you're able to get out of line of sight from it, as you can see here. Furthermore, if I get slowed, you can see that I can still TP off to the side at normal speed, but then let's say I try to pop my ult. Because my ult is a weapon, it gets slowed. So some abilities get slowed, others don't, depending on their context. If it's a straight up weapon, as you can probably tell by this first clip, you're probably assuming jet knives, which we'll get to in a bit. But yes, basically certain things get slowed, other things don't. You cannot dash through a Cypher trip. It acts exactly like Jet. You get pulled back from it. You can jump over them, of course, with your first dash, which makes it really, really interesting. And if you TP back, like I said, this is a much better example. It doesn't matter. You can TP straight through the tripwires. You can TP straight through a Brim Molly or a ult or whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't take damage while TPing back. And you can also TP through a deadlock wall and pretty much every other wall in the game, which we'll showcase a little bit later. Okay, but moving from there, fades. This is kind of funny. So if you get bungeed, you can't dash out of the bungee, man. Here's a few attempts of me and Conga trying to get like out of the bungee. It's not working. Up, forward, side, left, right, doesn't matter. Speaking of which, you can actually only dash forward. You can't dash backwards, left or right like you can with Jet, which makes quite a substantial difference. However, as you just saw there as I was yapping, if I put a TP and then get bungeed, it doesn't matter. It breaks the connection, and since the bungee has no other enemy to tie to, it actually deletes the bungee in this case. And that's the thing, that TP is very strong. You can see here I can also juke this ability, and you're gonna quickly realize that Waylay is the dodging queen. She can quite literally dodge almost anything. Almost. This is why this video is very important and why I consider it quite in depth. You can see here, if the Fade Dog is coming from the front, from the side, no matter what, you can dodge it using the Waylay TP. You can't though outdash the wolf. It's going to chase you down regardless of how hard you try. You also can't for some reason dodge a Fade Eye, and I think it's because of how it works. When the Fade Eye goes up, it'll just ping anything new in its area, meaning if I try to dodge it right when it goes up or afterward, the minute I come popping back in, it will ping me. When it comes to Wingman, you can very easily dash out of the way. That is something that was sort of expected. When it comes to dodging Wingman, like let's say when Wingman actually pops, so jumps up and pops, pops, you can time it and dodge. It's really not that hard to time the TP in a way where you're dodging stuff, right? So you can see I send out Wingman, it wobbles, I go ahead and try to dodge it. Oh, here's the thing. Wingman is one of the very few abilities that will actually 180 and chase Waylay down. This is not a common interaction, as you'll see with some other abilities coming in. And again, why a nuanced, in-depth ability interactions video is really helpful. Anyways, to continue showing how OP she is though, if you do time pretty much anything, meaning let's say one Wingman popped, or here when I pop the ult for Gecko, you can dodge using the TP. Next up we have Jett, and I absolutely love this. So there's a couple cool things, one of which I'm gonna take a little bit of credit I thought of and is kind of crazy. Okay, so let's say I get hindered and I throw out my kunais. You can see they're in slow motion. Shooting's in slow motion, and also popping the ult is in extreme slow motion. It's kind of insane how slow it is. Now, the one good thing is the accuracy is still there. So the Jett knives don't lose their accuracy at all. There's no in-between accuracy since they're statically at 100%. Okay, cool. We're understanding this. Now look at this. If I jump as Jett while hindered, you float in the air like everyone else. But the thing about Jett is you can kind of suspend yourself. So if I were to updraft, I get suspended and I still have 100% accuracy. So it started thinking, if you do Waylay plus Jett on the same team, an allied Waylay can actually inflict C on you or inflict you with hindered through ult. Both work. It works enemy or ally. We tested this. Meaning I could have a Waylay hit me and then look how much floating I get through window. Nice and easy, super slow. It is kind of insane. So I think this is sort of going to be a combo, or you can even use it to counter it. Pop your ult before a Waylay ult hits, and then you're able to jump up and suspend with high accuracy. Back to versus. When it comes to dashing, a single dash goes further for Jett, but because Waylay gets to inherently double dash, Waylay can reach a greater distance. It doesn't matter if Jett updrafts first either. If Waylay double dashes up, sideways, etc., or like up then straight or double straight, Waylay always closes more distance than Jett, so she can inherently go further than Jett. Next up, we have KO. KO is very weird. So KO is one of the weird interactions. You can see here when KO throws the knife, regardless of if it's last second, long range, or whatever, a KO suppress will hit Waylay. We think this is a bug. Me and Konga couldn't figure out why this is only applying to KO. You can see stun. Every other ability I've shown you so far, for the most part, is completely dodgeable. And if it's not, it's because it actually tracks you. Or something like this, where the timing is wrong and the breach ult goes step by step. So you end up finishing your TP in front of the breach ult. But something like KO, it doesn't matter if you're mid-invulnerable, you still come out suppressed, which is weird. So yeah, wanted to put that there. This next interaction is so funny. You can slow a KJ turret, like literally slow. We saw that the effect is applied here. So what we would do is if we slow the KJ and then have Konga run in front of it, boom, 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 boom. It's so slow. It just absolutely gets so slowed. And then it made us think something. If the KJ turret is acting like this, right? See, super slow. What about other abilities, like the alarm bot? Okay, I don't know why we didn't think of this previously, but we decided to give it a go. So I sort of tell Konga, yo, it's right here. I back off, and I saw the effect. And look at that. Little alarm bot is moving so slow. And this opened a whole new world of interactions that we missed. So we backtracked. Let's go back to Fade. Yep, the wolf dog, whatever you want to call it, the kitty, I don't really care what you guys call it, slows. It gets slowed. This applies for everything. Quite literally everything you can think of. Let's go back to Gecko. Little man? Little bro? Nope. Little bro is slow motion now. He also gets affected. It could be with the C hindered or with the ult. What if I'm ulting as Gecko? Well, I also get hindered. It doesn't matter. My ult moves in slow motion. Now you can release the ult at normal speed, but getting there, you get hindered. And this applies for everything you can think of. Now, back to an actual player. If you're Neon and you run forward and get hindered, you lose all momentum. So look, I'm running, right? And as I'm running, you can see my slide is available. But the hinder hits you so hard that your slide is not available due to the loss of momentum. Eventually, it'll come back as the hindrance slowly wears off, and as it wears off, you gain speed. Neon ult comes out and shoots slower as well, as you can expect. If the Jett knives and chamber ult, Neon counts as well. Anything that's almost like a weapon as a ult. This applies for Raze. Speaking of which, you can dash out of the boombot. Unlike Little Bro, it will not 180 to keep chasing you, so it's weird. Certain interactions work while others don't. You can see here, boop, the Raze boombot will just not follow me no matter what we do here. You can completely suspend the Ray's Boombot, as I did there. It freezes it in its tracks, like we did with everything else. Something to note is also similar to Jet. If Raze gets hindered, you can see Raze can also jump up into the air using Satchel, and she'll be slowed. She'll sort of suspend in the air, similar to Jet, because she can gain some high ground, not high ground, she can literally gain some air time. There we go. Sorry about that. Furthermore, the TP is completely broken against a Raze ult, because we timed it in a way where even if I only decide to drop the TP after I hear fire in the hole, Konga cannot get the rocket out fast enough to a point where I can't dodge it. So yeah, you can always dodge a Raze rocket. All right, but next we're gonna head over to Reyna to see what's possible there, and there is actually quite an interaction. If you try to hinder Reyna, she can completely dismiss to dodge it, like Reyna can with pretty much everything. The dismiss is fully dodgeable. However, or sorry, the dismiss can fully dodge stuff. However, if I hinder Reyna, then Reyna tries to dismiss, it doesn't matter. She gets the dismiss, but she dismisses in slow motion, and this also applies even if she's ulted. All right, next, I kind of teased this earlier, but if you were to put up a Sage Wall, similar to what happened with Deadlock, it doesn't matter, you can TP back to it. Hindrance does stack with other slows, same way the speed boost stacks with Sim, meaning you literally can barely move if you're like Sage slowed plus hindered or any other slow. When it comes to going back to the abilities, after we found out what happened with Killjoy, you can't hinder something like a Skybird, but you can hinder her cabbages, which is very interesting actually. It completely slows them down. I don't know how useful it is fully, but I think it's a good to know type of thing. And if it applies for her cabbages, I'm pretty sure all of you can expect this. It also applies to her dog, same way it did with the Gecko ult. Completely stops it, but you can release it and re-pick up that momentum. Back to the abilities, stuff that you would expect continue to make a lot of sense. So for example, with Sova, the ult will come out slower while hindered. If a drone's out, the drone will get hindered. When it comes to Taeho, similar to Breach, if you TP like an idiot, you end up in front of it, you will end up dying. But what is cool is that you can always dodge a Taeho ult because there's so much time to react. If you just put your TP down and move backwards, you can always dodge it. It is so easy to dodge it. So even if it gets you caught in the corner, feel free to save yourself that way. The Taeho drone gets slowed, same as every other ability. So this has been very, very consistent. If it's something you control or something that's an entity that can move itself, will get hindered, just like everything else. So it's quite an interesting mechanic. Now, when it comes to Taeho suppress, you can dodge it very, very reliably. Again, making KO the outlying ability and suppress or debuff that hits Waylay in a particular way. When it comes to Vice, similar to every other wall, you can TP through Vice's wall as well. So Vice's wall will not be an issue. You can't dash through her vines. You will take substantial damage. If you are already low, you can actually end up just eliminating yourself by trying to dash through Vice's vines. So be careful. This applies the exact same as a Jet dash. On top of that, you can very, very easily dodge Vice's ult. Again, gonna circle back here, the queen of dodging. It's kind of cliche, kind of cringe how I'm saying it, but I mean, it's making a ton of sense, no? When it comes to Yoru's clones, such a weird interaction. It literally just tells you which one's the real one. Literally, it highlights the real Yoru. I don't get it. Okay, that's what it does. That's what it does. If you get hindered and then use your ult as Yoru, you will not remove the slow. So you'll completely waste your ult doing that since you can't get away. Of course, you could TP away, but that's completely different. However, if you're in your ult, you can't get hindered because you're invulnerable, so that will, of course, not apply. I'm sure there could be some other interactions that we missed, but no matter what, I'm pretty sure if you made it this far all the way to the end of the video, you 100% understand this new agent more, and that's all that I wanted you to get from this video. Make sure to check out Konga since he helped me make this video, and he's going to have his own version probably published by tomorrow. And thanks for watching.